Can you smell me now?
No.
Sorry, I had Mexican food for lunch. Can you smell me now?
No, not a thing.
Dang.
You smell this?
No, that's why I'm telling you, I'm all blocked up. I can't smell anything.
Here, come with me.
Can you smell me now?
Still nothing. No.
Dang. Here, try this.
Oh, clear?
Can you smell me now?
Yes. God. Yes. Why do you smell like that?
Like what?
Just your body's trying to tell you something. There's something wrong. It's not like a natural smell. It's not like a must. It smells like a medical, like a waste bin. Like something in you is dying.
So it works. Nothing beats the power of clear.
It just.
Nothing.
Shop clear.com and use promo code LWC20 for 20% off your first purchase, along with free shipping on orders over $30. Clear. Wash your nose.
Glad to be with you. We have Oh, look, CNN is talking about Supreme Court hearing arguments on emergency abortion care. So,
Tell us what you really think.
run out today. Really excited. We actually have a guest on the show, David Robinson, who is going to be releasing for the first time his exclusive report on TikTok, the interference, and just how bad it is, and the capabilities, for example, of the communist Chinese government. So this is the first time that anyone in the United States is going to be seeing this because of the vote that just passed regarding the TikTok bill. Sorry, I mean bill that included $60 billion to Ukraine and tech TikTok on there. We're talking about that. We're talking about Donald Trump. Hey, look, you can comment if you think he's right. They're claiming he's in violation of the gag order, and right away he just went to attacking the judge, the former vice president.
He's got
everything. And I think it's actually a pretty smart approach. Either you have to lay low and win in court, or if you think it's really an exercise in futility, then just make it all white noise, where at a certain point people just get exhausted and go, we don't care, okay. Stormy Daniels is going to say some embarrassing stuff. Donald Trump's going to say some. Let's go back to what we used to care about with someone running for president. And we also have an eye on India because the Indian prime minister has been roasting Islamists. I don't know if you know what's going on there in India, but it's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. It's pretty funny, and we're looking forward to that segment because run through, there's a lot that you won't see. That'll be in the Friday Scrapyard show for Mug Club members. So, and I love that it's the lead-in to our guest.
Yes.
To our very revered guest is an Eye on India. So if at some point, and by at some point I mean during the Eye on India segment, you absolutely will see this, head on over to Rumble because, well, YouTube doesn't want any of this. It's a live show, weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can always watch it, even if we are not on YouTube. Number 2, Captain Morgan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine.
Are you breathing better now?
I know. I realize I don't breathe when I talk.
I had to remind you because a second ago you were talking and you went like that. I was
did
like,
that.
okay.
Yeah. I learned how to take shallow breaths for a long time.
I also realized that I didn't put on any powder as well.
Oh, gross.
I don't think I look.
Oh, gross!
You guys tell me. Do I look bad?
Don't
tell me. No.
Yeah,
You guys
comment.
are vicious,
Yes, comment
evil
below.
people.
Leave a
Don't do
comment. Do you
Son
like
of a gun.
Gerald just the way God made him?
Somebody give me a frying pan and some chicken.
Need some light on these eyes.
That oil.
Hey, now.
Stop it.
When you hear him and you hear this song, you know him, you love him, but you mostly thank him for his service. You always thank him for his service. You can watch his comedy special, American. That's the title on Mug Club, the first comedy special there. Mr. Firestine, how are you?
Good. Yeah, please watch my special if you haven't. Watch it on Mug Club. It is demonetized on YouTube already.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Is it really? Come on.
Yeah, it's already demonetized.
That's probably our fault.
I'm not sure if it's because I said the R word or if... or because of my friends.
But you have the right to say the R word.
I know. I have the right to do a lot of things, and I believe in that. RPAT.
That's a nice way of saying what Nick said. He's like, it's your fault. You're radioactive. I'm like, I'm not the reason you got kicked out of a bar. Yeah. Sorry about that. But
well,
the good thing is people can still see it.
Things happen. We made like $40, so
There you go. Nice.
Yeah, I'm rolling in it.
All that big YouTube money, the Benjamins. And I want to, again, reiterate, David Robinson. Not the David Robinson you're thinking of.
Not the Admiral?
Possibly the best looking man to have ever played professional sports. That David Robinson.
Looks pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. This is a man who actually he's a CEO of a malware analysis firm called Malcore, and he is going to be breaking down the entire kind of TikTok report here today that he is releasing. And this has to do with things like tracking, permissions, compromised security, and data that goes straight to China. This is not a Dominion voting machine with some kind of a graph that doesn't exist. This is something that has been studied by an expert, is actively happening, so I get it. People who are anti-censorship, yep, I understand it. This is not about banning TikTok. This is about ensuring that TikTok is not effectively used, well, let's be honest, a weapon of war.
Yeah.
A weapon of war as it relates to the information age. A lot of interesting stuff there, and I'm looking forward to picking his brain. Before that, here's a woman.
There's a problem.
With face tattoos who is surprised that she's not being hired. And she suspects that the reason they gave her, and I'll give her credit here, that the reason is not the real reason. She may have a point. Guess the real reason.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really
I can already
starting
guess it.
to annoy me.
Oh.
So I
Satan
applied
on your
for
neck.
a
Got it.
job at TJ
I was thinking
Maxx
blonde hair.
a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired?
Pause. Maybe because you look like Castlevania. Play.
And she was like, oh, like, you just, like, don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had, like, more experience
Pause.
than you.
That's likely also true, including the realm of life experience as displayed by the upside-down Satan on your neck. Play.
And, you know, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos.
Or Satan.
She said that wasn't the reason.
If they told you that your tattoos had nothing to do with it, they're lying. Play.
And I don't feel like that's true, but whatever, I'll leave it at that. So I'm just wondering how, like, teenagers and young adults who haven't had a job before, how are they supposed to get employed if these places are only hiring people with experience?
Without Satan tattoo. Oh, experience.
Younger people just can't get a job because they haven't worked enough. So, like, they'll deny a 16-year-old a job because they don't have enough work experience. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It almost is as if it makes perfect sense. So a 16-year-old gets denied a job for someone with more experience? Yeah. Also not Satan tattoos. And whatever it is on your arm that we can never tell, by the way. I know you want to talk about the art. It's just one big giant ink blotch.
I'm guessing it's a mistake that she covered up with another mistake.
Well, what I also appreciate is she had the judgment to consider that one tattoo a mistake, but the others stay put.
Totally
Yeah,
fine.
definitely. These ones are the good ones.
Yeah, these are the good ones. Those are the ones that made the cut. Here's how this actually works is, young people without experience have to work jobs typically that are at the bottom of the barrel so that they can work their way up. But these inevitably end up being jobs that you think are beneath you. I guarantee you there are jobs out there for you. Have you considered a foundry?
Yeah, construction sites aren't really discriminating on face tattoos.
Right. Carpentry in Haiti.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you
Sheet
building,
metal
fire
carrier.
pits?
Well, that's where they make the
Spit.
dirt cookies.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You do have to cook them.
Are there no consequences for actions like, look, by the way, and I'm not anti-tattoo, but there's a big difference between that and having a few tattoos, and you can't be angry at someone for taking it into consideration, especially if, I don't know, it's a sales job. I think she mentioned TJ Maxx. Take that shit to Marshall's.
She couldn't cover her tattoos if she wore a burqa to
No,
work.
she couldn't.
It's not like she had a little sleeve or something over here. And then she had, I think, 8 piercings on the top. 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, plus the nose ring. And I'm like, You're a walking resume, and when I see it, I'm like, no, no, you've made bad life decisions. You'll probably screw up the job too.
And there were undoubtedly people along the way who said, you know, you probably shouldn't get that Satan face tattoo.
Maybe her last job.
Right. He said, okay, Mom, I forgot you knew everything. And then a few years later, the video. You made your bed. Enjoy it.
It's gonna hurt to get them removed.
I think that she maybe was a bad tattoo artist.
Really?
And just can't make it in the industry. Everyone's like, no, it's not. You're terrible. You have to find another job.
like,
Try TJ Maxx. She's like, I've been trying.
You don't know what it's like out there in the real world.
And she finally got dumped by her tattoo boyfriend.
Yeah. You probably shouldn't have used yourself as the blank canvas to test new work.
Don't worry. She'll get hired as a kindergarten teacher. We'll be fine.
Yes, she will.
It doesn't make any sense. What? Your skin?
Oh,
Yeah.
you.
It doesn't make any sense. What? So what? We lose to young people lose to people with experience? I don't understand how those two phrases go together. It doesn't make any sense. Places of employment employ people with experience. This is where you've reached the point.
So it's TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to anybody. You know, all jobs are good jobs, but it's not like
That's not true.
It's not like a job that it really requires, you know, an experience.
Not a ton, but,
No,
you know,
I mean,
being
like,
nice.
Can you fold a shirt?
Can you fold a shirt? Can you be presentable? No.
Can you answer questions from people who are not terrified of you?
Yes, exactly.
We often get old women in here, old, frail ladies.
Yes.
And then they come in here and they're going to be afraid of you because this TJ Maxx is at a strip mall near a bus stop. And
Yes.
you look like a robber.
Yeah.
So when the Elephant Man walks in for the interview right after, she's like, oh, yeah, well, at least he's going to get the job. Now he looks normal compared to this lady.
It's just always funny to me, like, don't judge a book by its cover when they focused entirely on the cover. You have decided
They did no work on the pages.
whatsoever.
Look at my cover.
The only thing on the page is, what do they call that header that just lists the title of the book? So it's like the cover again.
She, in fact, messed up the cover once before and had to cover it up and make a new cover.
It's like if she was Treasure, the cover would say Treasure Island, and there would be blank pages except for that part that says Treasure Island. Like, I saw that on the cover. Like, yeah, wait, don't judge me by my cover. It's only cover. You clearly want this to be the first thing that people see. You want to get attention from people and then bemoan them for giving you the kind of attention that you demanded. Anyway, my point is, you made mistakes. Live with them. Hey, don't make the mistake of not cleaning your nose. We've talked about this as a company that we've worked with now. I've been using it for many, many years and was glad to get them as a sponsor. Go to clear.com, xclear.com, use the promo code LWC20, and you get 20% off. Read the data there as it relates to flu, rhinovirus, even COVID. And I can say that. Think about this. I can say that it's effective that it would be effective in reducing transmission of COVID to 90-something%. I can legally say that. You can't say that about many things. You brush your teeth, clean your nose. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Helps with allergies too.
Yes,
Big
it does.
time. Like, I'm not struggling nearly like I usually do.
And I know you say that, but there are clinical trials that exist that say it does. We can legally say that. Isn't that fun? We don't have to do a podcast where we say, hey, this will increase your testosterone by 600%. And you go, do you have any papers? No! Go to clear.com. All right.
Did the cap just fly off it? That was kind of funny.
The cat was enthusiastic as well.
Woo!
Yeah, baby.
I was like, preach it.
Put me in a nose.
Wanted to get away from face tattoo lady. I don't blame you, little guy. So, all right.
No, not up that nose. There's hardware in there. Maybe if she take the diamonds out of her bull ring.
Yeah, it'll come out of her lips.
Was it a diamond?
No,
I have
obviously
no
not.
idea.
It's fake bedazzled.
Oh, it was a cubic zirconia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Or just
disqualifying
straight up
factor right there.
glass.
Yeah, I have no idea. All right, let's go to this really quickly. It's day 2 of the Trump trial, or day 2 of the Trump trial. Are we day 3 today, or day 2 was...
Day 2 was yesterday.
It was yesterday, that's right. So we're day 3. And there were arguments about whether Trump violated the gag order, which is kind of silly because other people are not gagged and the media clearly is not gagged. I mean, if you want to act as though this is a sealed courtrum and you have no information, just tune into CNN for any minute at any point during the day. It's all they do. I wish I was obsessed with anything as much as they are obsessed with the Trump trial. So after the court was adjourned yesterday, President Trump stepped out and... Now, typically with a gag order, you wouldn't say anything.
Yes.
Hence the term gag.
But
He immediately bitched about the gag order effectively and just was throwing 7 different kinds of smoke immediately.
And by the way, this trial is all Biden. You know, this is all Biden, just in case anybody has any question. And they're keeping me in a courtroom. It's freezing, by the way. In a courtroom all day
My nipples
long.
are hard.
Well, he's out campaigning, that's probably an advantage because he can't campaign. Nobody knows what he's doing. He can't put two sentences together. I have an unconstitutional gag order by a highly conflicted judge that should recuse himself. Very simple. On the schools should have never happened. What's going on in this country now should have never happened. But of course the Ukraine war would have never happened. The Israeli attack would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. We have the worst president in the history of our country, and he's the one that has us in all these different lawsuits. Thank you very much.
Boy, I hate to see him when he's not gagged.
How do you think you're going to be able to make him not speak to the public?
Yeah.
Like if he does anything in his life, it is rage tweet.
Right, exactly.
That's the only thing.
And by the way, it's kind of brilliant. Every time he appears in front of a camera, turn it into a campaign stop effectively because they're trying to hamstring him, make lemonade out of lemons at that point. These are all valid points.
Just leans into it. I love it. He just like takes it head on because it's like, hey, don't talk about the judge. You mean that corrupt judge?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that not the purpose of the gag order? Is to knowingly that he's gonna, violate it and then put him away for some bullshit charge?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that kind of like the point?
Exactly.
Like,
they want him to go into court with trumped up charges.
Yeah.
They want him to go in, have to deal with it while the media speculates, all this press, and he says nothing. And there's kind of two approaches here. You either have to keep your head down because you know you've got it's a deadlock, the win, then kind of go through the process and then take a victory lap when you win. Or if you know that it's a lost cause, you just right from the get-go, you don't follow the orders as far as gag orders, you defend yourself, and at a certain point it becomes white noise. What they're hoping happens is, Stormy Daniels will take the stand, a bunch of people will take the stand, they'll have some embarrassing personal information, and everyone will fling mud. They hope it damages Donald Trump. But the truth is, at that point, it's just all going to be a circus, and people will be exhausted with it. Donald Trump he's using the play of exhaustion. The media wants to exhaust you over this? All right, fine, he will too. By the time they get to their star witnesses, you don't care. Why? Because inflation. You don't care. Why? Because 7.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed the border, or at least that we know of in this last year. You don't care anymore. Why? Because you probably have to work 2 or 3 jobs. You don't care anymore. Why? Because we're involved in more foreign conflict than we were really at any point during President Trump's history, at any point that I can think of, going back to, 2007? That's why you don't care at that point. You don't care what some washed up, tired ex-porn star has to say about taxes.
Oh, that washed up. Those titties floated her up.
Oh, geez.
Well, the courtroom's cold. They're planning ahead.
I love how he said that in the courtroom. And by the way, it's cold.
The courtroom's cold. It's the only way you make those tired, stormy tits presentable.
Jeez.
Firms the epidermis. She needs it. Loose skin. In other news, Steven Seagal's Wanda Punani is now officially 20 years old. He went through the process of recording that entire song and releasing it.
Yes.
Wait, I thought he was Russian or Japanese or Native American
or black.
Or black at one point.
All of those.
Oh, wow.
Look, I'm part Russian and I'm part black because I used to play the blues out on the porch in Detroit. And I think that I need to do a song about how I like vaginas. It doesn't get talked about enough.
With a Jamaican accent.
They used to call me Steven the Stoop.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would sit on the stoop with my boys.
Yeah. And then I would play the blues and then I'd talk about how much I love the punani. Bad things happen. We know.
Yes.
We know.
It's not a shocker.
So immediately after the judge ended that hearing, Donald Trump took to Truth Social as well. I have to read
it.
Okay, all right. He goes, highly conflicted, to put it mildly.
All caps, by the way.
Judge Juan Merchan has taken away my constitutional right to free speech. Everyone is allowed to talk and lie about me, but I am not allowed to defend myself. Not allowed. This is a kangaroo court, and the judge should recuse himself. I don't know how that gag order is working out.
Well, this is exactly the problem. The judge brought him in on the gag order issue because of him going to social media and putting up posts like that. So the very first thing he does, I guarantee you, he had this written beforehand. And as soon as it went boonk, gavel down, he's like, boop,
Yes.
send.
Right.
Just put it right out. Like, what are you going to do, judge?
I've got to imagine that his lawyers, they have to put makeup on the bruises on their foreheads because, like, okay, The key is right now, just lay low, don't say anything. He's like a child who just has to rebel and And by the way, I love this about him.
Yeah.
Like, don't say anything. Don't get yourself into hot water, right? Which would typically mean don't talk about Stormy Daniels, don't talk about the finances. And not only does he do all of that, he makes it all the way down the list to the temperature. It's like, don't say anything. All right, I won't say anything about this being a kangaroo court. Corrupt. You're an awful judge. She's a whore. And it's cold in here. The lawyer's just going,
Exactly.
fine.
He just didn't.
Well, I mean,
everyone.
at least at that point, you can't refute one thing. At
No,
least.
you can't.
There's truth in there because everyone else like, yeah, it was pretty cold in there.
Yes, it was pretty cold.
That's right. Cutting
The
glass.
coffee was ruined within 5 minutes.
Yep. You know what? He has a point. He has a point. You may not like his tone, but what he's saying is correct. Hit the like button if you think they should make that climate in the courtroom a little more comfortable for the President of the United States.
Fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Befitting his, title.
I'm a 68 to 71 guy in the House. That's
Are
what
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good range.
Yeah.
Depending on the thermostat. Let's go to India. That place is hot. So,
Oh yeah, make me so hot.
Oh, jeez.
you want the panani? So, we've talked quite a bit on this program, and I've been doing this back to 2009, really, about the incompatibility of Islam and really Western civilization. And I'm not just talking about the religion, I'm talking about the political prescription.
Yeah.
Right? Dr. Ben Carson got into so much trouble because he said actually the Quran and Sharia law are incompatible with the Constitution, and they accused him of racism at that point. Islam is not the same as every other religion out there in that there is a very clearly defined political prescription and system of government. Here's the thing. We're not the only ones to have highlighted this. Pretty much every country in the world that doesn't want to live under Islamic rule has come to that conclusion, which brings us to this week's Eye on India. All right.
Toolman is so happy we finally got to use that.
We did.
You should keep
He
two
loves
eyes on
that one.
India.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been a while
should
since we
always.
ran that one.
So India, they're in the middle of right now a 6-week election. And
Which is hilarious, by the way. It takes 6 weeks. They freaking, what are you, taking up a Dominion machine with a Sherpa to get the one vote
it's a
from that guy?
huge country.
It is, but they literally make sure everybody votes. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
There's a guy I think that occupies, and he's the only person in that region who will be able to vote, and they made sure he had a polling booth there. They're committed.
They are committed. Even the guy who wraps his wiener around the bow staff.
He gets to vote.
Yeah,
Twice.
It's wiener yoga. That's a thing.
It is.
What?
Yeah,
Look it up.
We'll talk about it on Mug Club.
Don't look it up.
We'll definitely get removed.
Okay.
So the Prime Minister, and I want to make sure I have this name right. It's Narendra Modi.
Modi.
Indians watching, please let me know how I did with that. He has angered Islamists, Muslims in general, again.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been accused of making Islamophobic comments during an election rally, triggering widespread anger from Muslims and members of the opposition. And Mr. Modi said if the
that a
opposition
wig?
Congress is voted back into power, it would distribute citizens'
No one
wealth
knows.
among what he called
Watch
infiltrators
this.
and those who have more children, referring to Muslims in India.
का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा आपको मंजूर है ये कांग्रेस का मैनिफेस्टो कह रहा है
Gotta appreciate the guy's ill. Thanks, Indian John Hammond. And
Oh, that's uncanny.
Spot on.
and I appreciate what he's doing here. I just wish that other countries would stop remaking our classics.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
We understand the culture here. You know?
I get it. Different strokes. Just make your own. So, if you expected more mature. So here's the thing. The media, of course, was right away quick to condemn Modi's comments, right? You
Yeah.
see this from CNN, Time, Reuters, WAPO. Let me ask you, do you actually agree with these legacy media outlets and think his comments are racist? I don't believe so. Let me walk you through some key facts here. And I think this is important for everyone in the Western world to understand. Let me set this let me set the stage here. Multiculturalism is a luxury only afforded to the modern world. Kind of like climate policy, right? Because you have the benefit now of living in a modern society with technology. You've gone through the Industrial Revolution, and now you're actually in effectively the digital revolution. A lot of these other places in the world, they haven't necessarily gone through that, but no country has pulled themselves into the modern age through multiculturalism. They've had to do it with a clear identity, with a clear set of values, and a unified country, a unified nation. And then they fracture and become a mosaic. It only happens with rich, white, affected liberal countries. No country has ever become successful through this idea of multiculturalism. That is something that they recognize in India. And if you look into the history, you go, oh, okay, this isn't just racism. They've lived it, and they are living it. So a key fact here, first key fact, I guess. This man, Modi, super popular in India. So if you are saying that he is racist, guess what? You are saying that 75% of Indians are effectively racist.
That's higher than Malay.
Yeah.
And Malay's doing great in Argentina right now. Jeez.
Right. And he, by the way, is also pretty big about a national identity. Another key fact. He's basically kind of make India great again. I guess if it's...
Miga.
Yeah. Miga. We'll make it great.
Make India.
Sometime. Maybe not, but we'll try. It will be okay.
How'd you use a soft day on that one?
He promotes Hindu culture, nationalism. And by the way, 80% of Indians are Hindu. So that matters to him, matters to seemingly a lot of Indians. And if you want to vilify him, you're vilifying the people of India who believe they should have a national identity. What happened to all cultures being equal? Here's another key fact for you. This man, his party, they have a pretty long history with Muslims. Let me give you some of this here. In 2021, the Indian government placed the only Muslim majority state under direct government rule. Now, you might see that, New York Times may see that and say, oh my gosh, fascism, racism. Let me get to why. They also, in 2022, banned a Muslim group. It was a Popular Front of India for direct ties to terrorism.
That's reasonable.
It would be nice if we did that with our groups on college campus and money from Qatar, but hey, India is actually ahead of us on that. We could take some notes from India. Now, if you don't remember this, in 2008, right, there was the Mumbai terror attack, right? Hostages were taken, 174 people were killed, over 300 people were injured. There's been a long and storied history with India, and you look at what's happened there. I can't get into all of it, but Islam, Hinduism, right? There's been conflict. This is not something that is new to them. And so they say, hold on a second, we need to put this only Muslim majority state under control. Why? Well, because historically, if they get the power of the majority, they start killing people. And it concerns them because they've lived it. They have to live with it in India. You don't, UK or DNC here in the United States. So you say racism, they say, I watched a friend die. Or I saw what happened to my country over a period of decades, and I don't want it to happen again. They recognize the direct political threat that Islam, a political prescription, represents. Most of it, 75%. That's a lot. That includes this guy who drinks cow pee.
Here in the western state of Gujarat, cow urine is being used to treat a whole range of ailments.
Many people know that cow urine is beneficial and that it has lots of herbs in it. So, by and large, people are not reluctant to take it.
That's my dentist.
I don't know that what he just said was true. Can we? Many people drink cow pee. I don't think so. They all know the benefits.
It has herbs in it.
What clinical death? What's your control group? Death?
Yeah. Look at me. Perfect health. Bring that guy back up.
Yeah.
Bring that guy back up. He's the spokesperson for the cow piss movement.
Yeah. And then they go on in that special to say,
look at that.
They
top medical official. Oh, jeez.
And he is not representative of all of medicine in India, by the way.
Of course not.
They actually use medicine that works. This guy just really has a thing for cow urine.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah.
It's all a rumor.
What ailments does it cure? Well, thirst.
Yes.
Hunger.
Are there better options for thirst? Yes.
Maybe.
Well, there's options.
You could have something that is not cow pee.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
But
where will you get your herbs?
I prefer cow pee.
Can't I get my herbs from the herbs?
Yeah, could I just get it?
Where did the
I mean, you have to supplement your herbs.
Yeah.
You have to take a bottle of herb supplements.
Could I just
with your water?
like
that'd be crazy.
Take it from the herb garden and not drink the cow pee? You could.
It's right here. I got a bucket. I got a pee guy. He collects it in a bucket.
You could do that too.
What do we like, the filtering of a cow?
Different strokes. For me, it's cow pee.
The cows ate all the herbs.
Just beat the cows to the herbs. Come on.
And also to give you an idea, Modi added 110 million new toilets in India. Just to be clear, this is something that people there want. They're saying we want to be brought in. What? I'm bringing good news, Gerald.
I know. I'm sorry, but when you look at your platform and you point to your results, inflation, is down, the economy's roaring, no new wars. We added toilets.
Hey, perspective, Gerald.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
It would be kind of funny to see Trump campaigning on that, though.
Toilets.
I added 110 million toilets in my campaign.
That's a lot of toilets, man. You must have had a lot of vacancies to fill.
Hey, I could use a couple more toilets myself, to be honest. So.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we don't need any more in D.C. They're called the Democrat Party.
Wow.
Just imagine that. 110 million new toilets. That's enough of a problem. And think about it. This is what these people need. If you're a privileged white person in the Western world, hey, you don't think about the fact that you need toilets. Mm-hmm. This is part of his platform that people like. There is nothing to fear other than shit in the streets. That we don't like.
We don't like that. No.
Ask not if you can shit in the street. Ask if there's a toilet nearby. Come on, we are humans.
Well, this guy's part of the movement. Like we're seeing kind of the Donald Trump of, right? So he's the Donald Trump of India right now. He's focusing on trying to make India better, and people love it. And he's also protecting their national identity to some degree.
And he's leaning into it.
Yeah.
He doesn't deal in guilt. That's the thing. He doesn't just sit. So to give you an idea, in this January, this one, okay, hold on to your butts. He attended the dedication of a Hindu temple.
Fine.
Built on the ashes of a mosque.
Not as fine.
Crap.
Which prompted Genghis Khan rolled over in his grave and said, that's a bit much. That's severe.
What land are we going to use? I don't know. Burn that.
Yes. It's like getting married on your dead wife's grave. AIDS. Well, son. Or was it Hep C? I don't know.
Probably AIDS.
Jenny was whore.
She slept with Fauci.
So here's another key fact.
Drank too much cow piss.
This brings us to something that I think, there's no way around this. Islam is, it's not just incompatible with the Western, it's incompatible with non-Islamic countries. Okay, now we've done this before. We've done the Quran challenge. Open the Quran, read 5 pages in any direction. See if you can spot the problem with a modern civilized society. If you don't primarily believe in, for example, violence to those who don't follow your religion. If you believe in actual equal rights for men and women. No, I'm not talking about privileges, and I'm not talking about Title IX and trans and sports, and I'm not talking about affirmative action. I'm talking about a woman having the right to, drive and not be beaten. Let's go even further, though. Aside from the Quran, let's go to how this plays out in practice. And we've talked about this before. Across the world, 198 million Muslims worldwide support the use of at least some violence in the realm of conflict, in the realm of people converting, in the realm of basically anyone not following lockstep with Islam. 198 million Muslims worldwide support some use of violence. The people who support use of violence strongly is still well over 50 million.
Yes.
But don't cite that number or they'll kill you. And in India, by contrast, Hindus there believe in ahimsa is a principle of nonviolence.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big part of Hinduism. Now, you may prefer Islam, but you have to recognize that Hinduism is different from Islam, and they want to protect it. I'm not Hindu, but I also understand why Hindus might be concerned, especially, again, if you look at the history of the region. 3 in 4 Indian Muslims want actual Sharia courts. 3 in 4 Indian Muslims want Sharia courts. By the way, the 1 in 4 is a woman, and the poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 1 bitch. So it's a little bit tough to... But think about it. 3 in 4 want Sharia courts. Do you know what happens in Sharia court?
Yeah.
You have you were raped? How many witnesses do you have, or we maybe stone you to death if you come forward?
Right.
Oh, wait a second. You don't want to lose your children? Before we even get to no-fault divorce here in the States, he can say divorce, divorce, divorce 3 times, go to a Sharia court. Good enough for us. You lose your rights, Mom. That's a Sharia court. This isn't something that white conservative conspiracy theorists have made. 3 in 4 Indians support actual Sharia courts. Are you familiar with Sharia law? Please comment below if you are. Have you seen it in practice? Are you aware of these laws? Do you know how women are treated? How do you think this pans out for LGBTQAI+?
Have you heard
a subdued rainbow?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this happened in the UK where they had Sharia law courts, like the Sharia courts were instituted in certain areas. And I don't know if you remember this, but several years back, and it's still this way, but we don't hear about it as much, there were no-go zones.
Right.
I don't know of any other group of people that comes in and says, we're not going to abide by your nation's laws. We want to set up our own courts to handle this stuff. And also, by the way, you're not allowed in this part of the city that we've moved to.
Right.
Like, that doesn't happen. That's not somebody coming in to try to be a part of your society. That's somebody coming in to take over your society.
Right.
And these guys, let's just be clear, too. India and Pakistan have never been friends.
No.
Like, these guys are going to fight until the earth ends at some point.
Effectively.
Yes. And Muslim, Hindu population, and, the nuclear thing. Like,
yes.
They're probably the first to pop it off.
That's kind of a big deal. A lot of people haven't really taken it into consideration. Yeah. Also notice with Islamic countries, you don't see Christians or Hindus trying to reformat their laws because it's a lost cause. In other words, Islamic country, okay, absolutely, I lose all my rights. So you simply decide not to live there. The best you can hope for is internationally to contain the violence so that it doesn't spread to other countries. However, in other countries that are even remotely tolerant, what happens whenever the Islamic population grows? Say, no, we want to start changing the country to our laws. Pick any country, any Islamic country where Islam has had political power. Right? I'm not talking about American Muslims where obviously they wouldn't be able to affect the laws here in this country and establish Sharia courts. Anywhere that there is a Muslim majority rule and they create a government as they see fit, point me to any country in the last century that has had a decade and a half of basic enjoyment of human rights, civility, nonviolence. You can't. Bikinis in Iran in the 70s, great. That didn't last long.
No.
It never does. This is not the exception with Islam. Once it achieves power, it is always the rule. Let's be clear about that. And in India, they've lived it. They're concerned about it. And it gets my goat when you see a bunch of Americans going, this is intolerant. I can't believe this prime minister. Hold on a second. Have you spent some time there?
Yeah.
Are you aware of what a Sharia court is? And let's even go to, Muslims in America. You have, in the United States, you have 60% of United States Muslims say that Hamas was justified in attacking Israel on October 7th. Not they don't like Israel and they think there should be a two-state solution. 60% of American Muslims say Hamas was justified attacking Israel on October 7th, meaning they've seen the attack.
Ow.
They know what happened. They know it's Hamas. 60% say good going here in the States. Wow. We're still talking about white supremacists?
Biggest threat to our nation, Stephen.
Yeah. Biggest threat to our nation. It's like, I think you're kind of a threat. Well, where do you get that? Well, because you said that you support terrorism.
I wonder how they feel about 9/11.
I think they were cheering.
There were quite a few.
I think they're afraid to take that poll.
They're afraid to take that poll. I was in Canada. When it happened, and I watched some people cheer. They were happy about it.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. The guy came into school. He had an I Plane New York shirt instead of the heart, and I got in deep trouble because I read him the riot act, and we almost came to fisticuffs. This was in Greenfield Park, outside of Montreal. Now, in the UK, 46% of UK Muslims are pro-Hamas in general. 46%. 46% is bad enough. 60% supporting actually the October 7th attacks, of course, performed by Hamas. 46 and 60, think about that for a second.
Those should be single-digit numbers. They shouldn't exist, but if they do exist, they should be single-digit numbers, and we should be able to point to them like the Westboro Baptists and say, they don't represent us.
Right.
Unfortunately, they do represent you, Islam. This is the problem that we have. And in India, they're dealing with it with a huge Islamic country right next door. They have firsthand experience. It's like the issue with the border. People in New York were all about, make sure people can come into this country. It's totally fine. Don't do anything with the border. People in Arizona, Texas, California, New Mexico were saying, hey, wait a minute. We've got a serious problem. Let's bring the problem to your front door and see if your attitude changes. Chicago, New York, San Francisco, your attitude's changing quite a bit. Mm-hmm. That's why India is where they are.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't like what the Chinese are doing to the Uyghurs, that's why China is where they are.
Right.
They're doing it in a bad way, but they're also protecting their national identity from the threat that they're seeing with Islam. Now, for them, they just don't want to lose control of the elites in China. So that's a bad thing. But this guy's saying, hey, popular elections, let's vote. By the way, you guys can't just have free stuff coming into our country.
Right.
He calls them invaders.
Yes, he does.
This is their kind of border issue to some degree. People coming in, not assimilating into their culture, don't give a crap about the culture and want to take over. Mm-hmm. You have to put a stop to that somehow.
Put this on.
God, I wish these people didn't hate their own country so much.
Yeah. It's a good.
They're all leaving. They're all. Why, you guys? It's all great. You want to
stay in
spread
Pakistan?
Why are you leaving it?
Yeah.
Stop leaving it.
Yeah.
You guys all want to be together. Hang out, homie.
They want the luxuries afforded to them by an enlightened society without actually living in it, and then they want to change
Tearing it down. Literally tearing it down.
It's like some of the Californians who moved to Texas. They flee California.
Please.
And then they say, I want to bring the policies that I fled to Texas. Now, not most of them. Most of the Californians coming here actually, they're pretty reasonable, and they're not
feel
trying
like
to
they
stay
made it to
purple.
safe ground.
They feel like they made it to safe ground. But every now and then you run into a Californian who's like, yeah, I left California. Oh, why? Well, there were no more job opportunities. I had to come here for work. But, I really miss. And they go down the list of things that led to no job opportunities. Let's take this number, 46%. I won't even take the 60 who supported Hamas. Hey, feminists, if 46% of men supported beating women, would that be a problem? If 46% of Trump voters supported actually bombing Congress, would that be a problem? If 46% supported in Charlottesville, as opposed to saying not neo-Nazis, not white supremacists, running someone over with a Dodge Challenger, would that be a problem? Because all of those things pale in comparison to the October 7 attacks. And that's a 60% number, let alone 46% in the UK who just support Hamas in general.
Yeah.
To me, what's so shocking about that is that poll was framed in a way to give you an out. Like, hey, I bet you the poll taker thought, I'm gonna carry their water here. Do you just support everything about Hamas? Yes. You don't have to support everything. I can put you down as no. And 46% were like, check the Y box.
The guy's like, say no. Come on, just say no. Say no. It's probably best if you say no.
I'll mark you down as a maybe. Yes.
They had a more nuanced question and like, this might produce like a 46% result. We don't want that.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Now remember, if you say yes, you support them, you also support rape, violence for no reason, anti-Semitism, genocide. Uh-huh. Oh, still yes. Okay.
Still, that's
right.
Okay.
Wow. I am very white. So the point, and you can comment below. We talk about this with climate change policy, right? Where, hey, to you, gas prices going up $1.50, doubling. It sucks. It's inconvenient. Mm-hmm. In rural parts of Mexico, people die because their entire life is about eating, sustaining themselves, usually trying to afford some kind of usable energy. Happens all across South America, happens across Asia, right? If energy costs go up, they die. So it's a luxury for you. Oh, an electric car? Well, most people don't have the money to buy a brand new electric car. Purchase carbon offsets? Must be nice. Al Gore, when you fly first class or fly private. Same thing here. Multiculturalism is a luxury that is only afforded to those in the United States, in the UK, from nations that have propelled themselves into the modern era without multicultural. And then we fracture, and then we destroy ourselves from within. That's pretty much any empire, any great nation, any formidable foe. They have to have a unified identity. The thing is, in the United States, it's not based on a race. It's based on a series of ideas. How do we know? We wrote them down. Isn't that great? Multiculturalism cannot create a great nation. It's not a luxury that a place like India can afford right now when most of their country lives in abject poverty to the point where a campaigning issue is more toilets. They're not concerned about your pride parade and multicultural. So people of India, at least 75% of you, we hear you. We get it. This is a legitimate gripe. Do not listen to the legacy media outlets who are trying to browbeat you for your concern of your own personal safety and the future of your family. Makes sense. I don't know everything about this prime minister, but you know what? From what I know, hey, seems to be headed in the right direction. This has been Eye on India. All right, we have our guest coming up here in a few minutes, David Robinson. Mm-hmm. Not that one.
Not that one. Different one.
Possibly best-looking guy ever. Can someone bring up David Robinson in his uniform?
Yeah.
Ooh.
We have it.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, bring it up.
Well, I don't know if we have it right now.
No, we don't have it. You spoke out of turn.
No, they had it out there. I saw it out there, so they'll be able to send it in.
Wow.
Oops.
And this man, though, David Robinson, is going to be providing for the first time today an exclusive look at this in-depth report of TikTok and how they are using your data and the risk that they actually pose. Now, to be clear, no one here wants TikTok, at least as far as to be banned. That's not what we're pushing for.
No.
We're
just making sure that they can't send data back to the Chinese Communist Party. Americans' consumer data, and also bank account information apparently from TikTokers. We'll read about that too.
We'll talk about that. It has been. Look at that. Come
Look
on,
at that guy.
That's straight out of Central Cast.
He would never fit in a sub though.
No, he would not.
Got to stay on the deck of a carrier or maybe
or walk like an L the whole way.
Yeah, exactly. He's 7'1",
and he doesn't have the weird proportions that a lot of tall guys have.
No,
he just looks like a jacked tall guy. Good for him.
I didn't think he was 7'1". I had to be corrected. Ginger Snap was like, no, he's like 7'2", and I'm like, no, he's not. I was thinking like 6'11".
He was 6'10". A tall dude.
7'1".
Good player.
Insane.
Thick stash, too. None of this happens without you, of course. LoudEarthCreditor.com/Muckler. This exclusive report that we have here today, the undercover unit. Of course, you get a whole extra 100% of show. You get Nick DiPaolo every day. You get everything that comes with Mug Club. But none of this happens without you because we are not funded by a foreign caliphate. Let's go to foreign interference here. Last night, the Senate passed, of course, the massive foreign aid package, $60 billion to Ukraine. It's just funny to me that was the border bill. And now it's just, let's just give them the money anyway. And then they also said, let's sprinkle in kind of this TikTok ban.
On this vote, the yeas are 79. The nays are 18. The motion to concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment to H.R. 815 is agreed to.
Our allies around the world have been watching Congress for the last 6 months and wondering the same thing. When it matters most, will America summon the strength to come together, overcome the centrifugal pull of partisanship, and meet the magnitude of this moment? Tonight, under the watchful eye of history, the Senate answers this question with a thunderous and resounding yes.
Oh, no, wait, sorry. TikTok, it was a part of it. But they were talking about giving your money for more foreign conflicts. I'm sorry. What?
They just rolled these things together.
I think we have a video that is relating to kind of a big deal.
More about TikTok.
Let's see.
The Senate passed a bill that could either ban or force the sale of TikTok. Now, the House passed it on Saturday. It was packaged with foreign aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. That bill now heads to President Biden's desk, and he's expected to sign it tomorrow.
Whoops.
There should be some kind of a law in the books that just says, well, you can't just put in one thing, $60 billion to Ukraine and $21 billion, whatever it is, to Israel and Gaza collectively. I believe the number, I guess it was Israel's $15 billion and another $9 billion to Gaza. You can't just put that in and then kind of as a footnote, the TikTok issue of it's kind of a big deal.
These things together.
People are going to ask questions. You have to do it separately. Doesn't that comment below, wouldn't that make sense to say, no, separate. Bill to give $60 billion to Ukraine. Oh, that's right. They do it because they try and sandwich something in between something that is actually popular and has support and then put something else in that would not have the majority of support. So to give you an idea, again, we talked about this before. The parent company of TikTok is ByteDance, and they're going to have 9 months to sell the company to some kind of United States-based company or one that actually follows these protocols, parameters that have been laid out, or they're just going to be banned in the U.S. app stores.
Right.
Much like when you get pregnant.
9 months.
You get 9 months to sell it.
I had forgotten about that.
No, is that not how it works?
Effectively, yeah. I mean, it depends if it's a good-looking baby or not.
Find out late, you got 8 months to sell it. But
the baby looks like David Robinson, you fetch a pretty penny.
Hey, you can sell it whenever.
I like them.
Looks like me. No, it's going to be a TJ Maxx return policy.
So this Tattoo Face is going to be restocking you.
Be pissed. And this is something else that I know people have sort of made this center just on censorship. And we had Vivek on to talk about this, but there's a new report. This is from a 2023 report, by the way, by a cybersecurity firm. It's called Malcore. David Robinson is going to be here. TikTok was by far the least secure, most at-risk app on the market.
Wow.
That means that Gerald's Grindr profile is more secure than the average TikTok. Which that's
yeah, look at you, handsome man. Get out there, boys.
I am
find him.
Not 52 and also not on Grindr.
Looking for a strong and gentle
we just saw that you are on Grindr.
Yeah,
You're going to lie to us right here in studio, Gerald? We can clearly see you're on Grindr.
It's wrong to lie.
I mean, you lied on your profile. That's even worse, too. You shouldn't be telling these young men that you're more wise and older.
You're giving them false hope. So whatever. You're poisoning their little gay souls.
Yeah, they've got all these twinks have this old man fantasy, and you're just teasing them.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not 50.
I love how it's a very, very flattering picture.
It was actually.
It is.
Like, oh, thank you.
And also horribly humbling. So,
jeez,
it's like it could have been worse. Where it's like a really unflattering picture. You look very good.
You do look good for 52.
Yeah, you look like a really good-looking 52-year-old who puts it up together well, who likes to be banged by guys.
I'm none of.
It's Grindr, Gerald.
Will do. Thank you for saying I look good. I disagree with the rest, though.
Yeah, and I know what some people are saying, like, hey, are you insulting someone by insinuating that they may be a homosexual? Yeah.
A little bit.
Well,
doesn't mean we hate
it's funny because it's Gerald.
Yeah, it's funny because it's Gerald. Also it's funny because gay sometimes is funny. Is that okay with you? We don't care. So here now with a first look at Malcor's 2024 report. And this is exclusive. No one has seen this yet. We're going to be discussing TikTok, the issues, cybersecurity issues. Malcor's CEO, David Robinson. Let's bring him on. All right, I almost said Mr. Malcor. Mr. Robinson, can you hear us, sir? How are you?
I've got you, Stephen. You guys got me loud and clear?
Yes, we do. I appreciate that you have the hoodie that says the name of your company so that people don't miss it.
Well, I've got to rep the brand one shot, right?
Well, it's going to be competing. It's going to be competing with the lower third that we had prepared that also says Malcor. But tell us a little bit for people who don't know before we get to this report, which is very alarming from what you've told us. Tell me about your company and how you got wrapped up with this TikTok issue for people who don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, thanks for having me. I think it's a hey-ho. I just got back from the pub, actually, and there was a fat lady singing because it's been quite a few years.
Yeah.
We've been, it's a mini war for TikTok, existential for them. I'm still alive, though. We've been writing reports about TikTok for the last 3 to 4 years. 2022 was our major report that basically got pushed into the Australian media and then globally. A lot of organizations, governments, researchers have read that report, which really brought to light the data collection issues, privacy issues, how TikTok basically in their source code acts.
And talk us through this new 2024 report that people watching right now have not seen. This is now going to be available to the world. We've made it available, louderwithcrowder.com. And of course, full credit. I recommend people go and check you guys out, the work you're doing. Walk us through it, and how does it compare to the other reports? How is it different? What are you measuring the metrics? Because this could get a little nerdy, for people who don't necessarily follow it. 2024 report. Yeah. What is it?
So we have Malcor is basically a malware analysis platform where we can put any phone app into it and it spits out all the permissions, all the code severity warnings, all the things that are in the app and how it acts basically. So our platform will give you a score based on the software development kits that is loaded in the app, the permissions the app requires from the phone, whether it's given or not, and also the code severity warnings. So we just objectively score all the social media companies, all the big ones and the little ones, and we basically print those scores. We printed them in 2023. Your FCC loved that report and that methodology, and our 2024 report is now out. TikTok had the highest score in 2023. In 2024, to be honest, they've done a great work trying to reduce their permissions, but they unfortunately still came out with the highest score, a score of 60, double the industry average.
Okay, so let me ask this. What makes TikTok, because we see that with the other apps, what makes TikTok more dangerous or more of a concern than the other apps out there? Because you hear the argument from other people just saying, well, this is just censorship because all of them do this, but there's obviously a difference. We see that metric. People may not have context. TikTok is a more significant threat. Why?
So the biggest thing that happened in our 2022 report that basically really slammed the door was device mapping. So in 2022, when we analyzed the app, TikTok could map a device. So it basically was collecting all the running apps, all the apps stored on the device. So when you can basically pull all the contacts, access to calendar, and continually try to get access to the contacts when you had the app installed, and then it was able to map the phone. It's basically like a phone imaging app on your device. So that was the 2022 report that slammed the door. And then in 2023, they had a significant number of software development kits compared to industry. And so this is a third-party company that has access to the metadata or the advertising data. So software development kits is like an install plugin, basically, that you can have. If you make a random app and you can put Google and Facebook software development kits into your app, Facebook can actually get some of that advertising data. So TikTok had the most. They had every single software development kit, including VK Contact, which is a Russian-owned organization. It used to be a company, but now it's controlled by the FSB inside their app. So,
hold on a second, because this is something that maybe people don't know. So they can map your whole phone, because people know, they go, well, yeah, cookies, I accept cookies, and so they follow me, let's say, in my browser to maybe advertise, like, I'm looking for swim trunks, and then, hey, what do you know, swim trunks. You're saying this phone mapping, they can basically backdoor, if I'm getting this correctly, and get access to pretty much everything in your phone, any running apps, your contacts. Effectively, they get a scan of your personal information.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word backdoor. I'd use the word scan, basically, of the phone. Yeah.
And is this now, again, this doesn't exist in a vacuum. Do all apps do that? Is that the norm? Or?
Well, it's a social media company, and their job is to give funny videos and provide advertising data. There's no reason for them to collect every single app that's running in your phone.
Right.
If they're providing a high quality cat videos.
Well, yes. And look, two things can be true. They provide high quality cat videos, and also, there's potential communist interference. That begs the question, why would China care about the data of an 18 to 25-year-old, that's their key demo, TikToker? Like, why would they want to scan their entire phone?
So friends in the intelligence community have basically said to me that China is the biggest purchaser of commercial data in America. So they are buying and collecting a significant number en masse of data of Americans. We saw this in a project we did called the Zhenhua Data Leak, an entire Chinese company dedicated to tracking Americans and pulling as much social data as they can off them. They are a huge data collector from our perspective, and the reason why they want to collect it is, okay, you're a teenager, you don't really care if TikTok has your data or what's going on your phone, but they can pull every single contact. So they have basically a social map of every single contact in that phone. So if they're collecting every single contact list of every single group of people and they can export this data, then, you might not be important, but, Stephen, I'm sure you talk to congressmen all the time. Imagine getting their phone number, Miss Universe, her phone number, she's supposed to be private, right?
Well, no, Miss Universe, I have a few. Mine was the runner-up. But sometimes the runner-up is a better looking one than the winner. And they're a little bit weirder. But so they have access to your contacts, and this is terrifying, your phone contacts. And just for people who are missing this, I know your report is available. ByteDance has direct ties to the CCP, right? Like there's a difference between someone in Silicon Valley, though it's a problem, having access to your purchasing preferences, and a company, and this is the reason for this bill right now, directly linked to the CCP, having access to all of your personal contacts. People out there may say, oh, we don't really know that they're connected to the CCP. Well, yes, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, yes.
You got an election coming up.
Yes.
Algorithms are everything. So all that data, great algorithms, AI, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, not only that, my thought is, right, you have a foreign government who has access to this information, okay? And then if they have a preference in an election, you have all these contacts. When people talk about the Epstein list, think about the leverage and the blackmail. I mean, just think of what happened with Anthony Weiner and the leverage that they tried to apply there, right? That was a big deal. Think about, obviously, Eric Swalwell. Though he still has a job, I don't know why. Right away, I don't just go to algorithms and tech. I go to a foreign party, a foreign government could select who they want to blackmail or apply leverage to if they have all of your personal contact information.
This actually brings up the Zhenhua data leak again. There's evidence of Chinese companies actively, with their entire business model, building those types of databases. So
Wow.
buying that type of data to connect that up. Yeah.
That is terrifying. Captain Morgan, you had a question.
Yeah, so I was just curious, when you said on the phone mapping, first, that's very shocking. It takes a minute to get over that. But second, do they, as opposed to just having information to contacts, which is, bad enough as it is, do they have like access to text messages, any of the content of those text messages that are on your phone, any other data that might be there, emails, things like that?
To be honest, probably not. They probably don't have access to text messages. But if you are texting in the chat function of TikTok, probably.
Jeez. Right. What's the relationship between TikTok and we've heard about this Telegram and, like you just mentioned, this sort of Russian FSB?
So Ukraine is having a massive argument about whether they should ban Telegram, just like you guys are talking about TikTok. But I think you guys are way more successful in banning apps because only India and America really have had this type of debate and successfully pushed legislation through. But Telegram is a massive Russian language app. It is run by a guy called Pavel. He lives in Dubai, and he basically says that he basically created VK Contact and says he had to flee Russia because VK Contact was taken over by the Russian security services. So Ukraine are trying to ban Telegram because they think it's a threat to their population because Pavel originates from Russia and there's a lot of accusations there. He says that VK Contact was taken from him by the Russian security services and that's why he now lives in Dubai. And VK Contact is a software development kit installed into TikTok's software development kits. So it's kind of like the ultimate triangle of love there, you say?
Yeah, well, wouldn't the counter argument maybe be because Telegram is, encrypted and a lot of people have used it, right, for that reason, that they think it's more secure as opposed to, for example, a court just saying, all right, we're going to grab everything on your phone. That maybe Ukraine would want to be banning Telegram because they would want to have more access to people's personal information as opposed to something encrypted. Would there be a valid claim for pro-Telegram people there to make?
Yeah, it's not really the encryption. It's more most of Russian disinformation inside Ukraine occurs over Telegram. So it's more the information environment domain. It's the same reason for TikTok. It's not about the encryption or whether they're collecting data in this sense. There are huge amounts of influence occurring on populations from authoritarian regimes. And if they can control an app and influence your elections, influence your population, then it's an existential threat during these kind of very pressure situations like an election or a war for Ukraine's perspective. So if you control the app, you control the algorithm, you control the disinformation. So that's the kind of the essence of it. There's no free speech argument there from my perspective.
Well, I would say, I would be concerned if the Ukrainian government is the only one determining, what is disinformation or what is that. Then we get into what we had with the CDC and COVID a little bit. So I would be concerned. I would be certainly. I'd have to pause there and go like, well, hold on a second. If we're just talking about information, well, the way you combat bad information is good information, unless, of course, Ukrainians are not allowed on TikTok outside of Russian propaganda. So it's a little different from saying it's a national security threat because private information is going to a foreign entity. But I understand the point to be made. I did want to ask you a question here because I heard a story about this. Have you gotten any feedback or direct contact since this bill passed?
Not since the bill passed, as in like in the last 2 days or in the last couple of weeks.
Well, you know what? Since they were starting on it, let's say in the last few weeks, have you had any odd contact, David?
Like it's a pretty private kind of war between TikTok and me, as it seems. And I can disclose to your audience that members paid by TikTok to write disinformation and crappy reports about my company was hard copy mailed in the mail to shareholders of mine. So people paid on the record by TikTok researchers, hard copy mailing stuff to my shareholders.
Wow.
It's unfortunate because it was just a bad report, poorly written, badly executed. Like if it was high quality, then you'd have to respect the play. But
yes. Wow. All right. So can you stick around as we go to Mug Club here and take some questions from chat? Because a lot of them have some questions for you because I'm sure you can imagine with this report now being released, they have concerns. It's again, it's Malcor's 2024 report on TikTok. This is the CEO of Malcor, David Robinson. David, is there anything before we go to Mug Club where you want to direct people? I know we have it up on our website, but if there's anything else.
Yeah, if you go to blog.malcor.io, the report is there live, and you can log into Malcor for free and load up any app you want and have a look.
All right. Well, great. And stick with us. We're going to take some chat questions for those on Mug Club. If you're watching on Rumble, click that button. You, too, can ask questions to this computer that wears tennis shoes. If you are watching on YouTube, well, we don't know if you're even still there after Ion India, but you can piss off.